So we're all familiar with the Navy utilized by the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars. But the Republic Navy as an institution dates back to thousands of years before the movies. Today we'll take a look at the history of that organization and some of the ships that were utilized by the Republic Navy before the outbreak of the Clone Wars. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So the Republic Navy from before the war is obviously very different from the Republic Navy utilized during the Clone Wars. As we all know, the Venator and the Acclamator were designed and manufactured specifically for the Clone Army. As such, they obviously were not present before the creation of the Clone Army and the outbreak of the Clone Wars. Before we talk about a few notable ship types utilized by the Republic Navy, I think we should get one quick little bit of information out of the way. The early Republic Navy was limited by something called the Ruusan Reformation. You see, the Galactic Republic was a relatively pacifist organization, and didn't believe in really maintaining a large, powerful navy. As such, they left the policing of much of the galaxy's space to local defense fleets. So the Republic Navy was relatively small compared to the number of ships that it would have during the Clone Wars. The Ruusan Reformation, signed into law by the Republic Senate, basically banned the construction of a large military at all. The Republic would only be permitted to build the ships and ground forces we see during the Clone Wars, thanks to the Emergency Powers Act that Palpatine would enact right before the Battle of Geonosis. While we do not know when the Ruusan Reformation was enacted in canon, we know that in Legends it was about 1,000 years before the events of the films. So as such, some of the most common ships in the Republic Navy were lightly armed, or some were almost completely unarmed. Instead used more as transport vessels for diplomatic missions as opposed to warships. One of the more common ship classes utilized by the Republic Navy was the Consular-class Cruiser. The Consular-class Cruiser was a small vessel mostly used for diplomatic transport, but was one of the more numerous ships within the Republic Navy. This 115-meter-long vessel was one of the first ships we see in The Phantom Menace. This ship, with its bright red paint scheme, carried Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi to negotiations aboard the Trade Federation ship the Sak-Ak. But what is with that bright red paint job? Well, it's the same principle behind the bright blue helmets worn by UN troops here in the real world. The Republic is generally a large peacekeeping force. As such, their ships are less designed for war and more designed for peacekeeping and intervention. So painting it bright red made it stand out, and would notify basically everyone around that it was a Republic ship. And it helped that they were usually there on diplomatic missions. So the red would serve as an obvious warning, basically don't shoot at me or you're gonna have problems with the Republic. But the Consular-class Cruiser wasn't the only ship utilized by the Republic Navy. The Republic Navy would also be famous for using CR-90 Corvettes, which, like the Consular-class Cruiser, were also manufactured by Corellian Engineering. And the CR-90 would become famous, by the way, not in service to the Republic, but in service to the Rebel Alliance, where it would become a rather prominent ship in the Alliance Navy. And like we see during the reign of the Empire, the CR-90 is primarily used for diplomatic transport, although it can be lightly armed. Another ship that was utilized by the Republic Navy but seen very briefly on screen was the CSS-1 Corellian Star Shuttle. This ship was almost always completely unarmed, and used exclusively as a VIP transport. And of course, all three of these ships, when in service to the Republic Navy, would be painted bright red, something to signify their presence as a peacekeeping vessel. But still, this relatively small force did see a handful of battles, including engagements like the Battle of Ethor, which saw a large Republic task force taking on local pirates. When the Republic Senate was informed by the Jedi that these separatists were building a massive military, the decision was made to use the Emergency Powers Act to attempt to circumvent the Ruusan Reformation, and therefore allow the Republic to build a massive navy. This happens right before the Battle of Geonosis, and we get to see this on screen in Attack of the Clones. Luckily, the Republic had a good source of ships basically waiting to go. You see, for part of the contract that created the Clone Army, they had built a massive fleet of Venators and Acclamators, large capital ships designed specifically for fighting a war and not really intended for peacekeeping operations. And when Palpatine activated the Emergency Powers Act, it basically repealed the Ruusan Reformation. Now, while many of these small ships would remain in service to the Republic, many of them would be converted into more stand-up warships. For example, we see in the Clone Wars that the Consular-class Cruiser is more fitted out like a cruiser than the VIP transport we see it used as in The Phantom Menace. But interestingly enough, it seemed like a good portion of this fleet was not ready by the time of the Battle of Geonosis. You see, the Venator-class Star Destroyer, which would become an icon of the Republic Navy during the war, would not be present at the first battle of the war. If you want to look into some of the possible reasons why the Venator was not present at the Battle of Geonosis, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments what you think of the Republic Navy. Do you think it was smart to demilitarize and function basically entirely as a peacekeeping force? Or do you think the Republic should have operated a larger standing navy? And lastly, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.